We really recorded it.
Wonderful. Yes.
Very good.
And please don't hold for priority.
Yeah.
Like you would like you actually are on the safe side. But check all of them. So you don't have to go like.
I gotcha. Jennifer, are you really recording right then?
I can stop.
Can we just pause? for-
Yes.
for 5 minutes?
We were going to. So I.
Okay. All right, and then tonight's Oregon Town Board meeting will come to order. And Jennifer, if you would please do a roll call.
Carl Walzer.
Here.
Lori Fitzgerald. Here. Arlen Kai.
Here.
Steve Jernigan.
Here.
And Tim LeBrun.
Here. Thank you. And we have 2 sets of minutes in the packets. We got the town board meeting from November 12th, and then the budget public hearing, the special town meeting electors from the 25th. Any corrections, additions, any kind of edits to those? Then without objection, the November 12th town board minutes and the November 25th budget public hearing and special town meeting of electors minutes are approved. In packet page 6 is where the financial report documents start. And the voucher packet is either on its way around or already all the way around.
Yep, I had one last check to the packet or to the checks that I added to the packet after maybe I sent it out. And that was it was a chargeback we had from 2024, and that was for Larry Scupian. It was an assessor error, and Tim and Carl, you may have the packet that has that in there. So this is a situation where the assessor had over assessed a property. And so what happens is we submit that to the Department of Revenue, and then the Department of Revenue reviews that. They then send that to the taxing jurisdictions, and then the taxing jurisdictions actually send us back a check. So the school district reimbursed us the $804. And so then I got that check back, and then I make a check back out to that resident. So that was that $1,200. It was 12.
88.51.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. So I did that late this afternoon.
Okay. Any questions, comments about financial reports? Loan update? Did you want to talk about the loan update or anything else?
Nope.
No, okay, nothing really. Last chance on comments, questions? Anything? Head shaking, looks like then without objection, the financial report, the loan update, and the payment vouchers are approved. Thank you. Item 5, public comment section. I know we have all sorts of special guests. Anybody wanted to speak during the public comments? No? Okay. Then item 6 is a visit from Payne and Dolan.
Hey everyone, nice to see you guys again. You guys already have a handout? Jennifer already gave it to you guys in the packet?
Yes.
Okay,
Page
great.
12 should be.
I didn't bring a big fancy, I'll just put it here this way, sorry. I didn't bring a big fancy map this time, but I did bring Matt Decker. He's our new Oregon aggregate site manager.
Good to meet you guys.
I think you guys might be more familiar with Brian Wallace. He's come with me to the past few meetings. He's still involved in the area, but Matt can be taking over day to day at the site. I think most of you probably know Bill Buglis too. He's officially retiring at the end of the year. Our longest term employee at Payne and Dolan, 50+ years, I think. Yep. Yeah, so he won't be coming to meetings anymore with me. Usually he sits in the back just to come say hi to everyone, but yeah, so we're here to just give an update on our operations this year and then a quick look into our operations next year. So this year was status quo again for us. I know I come in here and say that every time, but pretty standard operations for us. We had the portable crushing plant on site 2 times this year. So we brought it in early this year, took it out for the summer to another site to crush, and then we brought it back in the fall again. We excavated above and below the water table this year. So above, using like a front end loader, and then below the water table using like a long arm, kind of like a big beach toy, scooping it out of the water. Again, we do that pretty much every year. Then the portable asphalt plant right here, that was on site again this year. And I highlighted some bigger projects that we did out of that plant, like Highway 59, Highway 51. We paved quite a bit in the Village of Oregon this year at Keller Alpine Park, I believe that's called, that big walking path. Paved in the town of Oregon, town of Dunn, town of Rutland, and then we also sold material to the Village of Brooklyn as well. So keeping a lot of work local here with this plant. And then looking into next year's operations, pretty similar to this year, we're expecting to bring the portable crushing plant on site. And possibly the portable asphalt plant, but it depends how the next few lettings go with the DOT, so we'll see about that one. And we are expecting to do some stripping of overburden and topsoil next year. So we'll be stripping kind of this part of the northwestern field here to open up some new aggregate reserves for us. But I think that's really it, unless you guys have any questions. And as always, we're always happy to give you guys a tour if you want one, with Matt or I as a group or one-on-one. We're pretty flexible, so let us know. We'd be happy to show you Oregon or Anderson as well on Union Road,
How about not in the winter?
but not in the winter.
Let's not do it today or tomorrow.
Too cold.
July.
Maybe in
July.
5 months,
Something's not-
then we'll
that
give you a
sounds
tour.
much
Then
better.
we'll be happy to do that.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. So another company is working in the Anderson Park, in the Anderson quarry.
Yep.
Is that can you tell me about that?
Wingra.
Yes.
Yep, so we have an agreement with Wingra that they can process some material out of that pit, but so can we. So we're still overseeing the site, we're still working out of it, we still strip overburden topsoil, blast, process, and they can do that as well. They're under our supervision.
So they are, the reason I ask is we live there. We live along Anderson Park. Our land runs along the whole eastern border of that quarry.
Got it, yep.
And I noticed that they are moving north. Well, they've increased the size of the berm
Mhm.
on the far east side, so they must be moving closer to the property line
Right.
there.
Yep, closer to the extraction limits, I think 200 feet from the property line.
Is that what is that what you're allowed to do?
I believe so, off the top of my head. I believe it's 200 feet, but I can check.
And the same thing all the way around, is that correct? The 200 feet is a 200-foot,
That'll have to look at.
okay.
It's not, I don't believe it's 200 feet off Union Road.
Okay, yes, it's quite a bit more
Quite
than
a
that.
bit more
You
that way.
bet. But the
Yeah.
northern border where the berm is, the eastern border where the berm is, we live where those two berms
Got it.
come together, and so that's why I'm curious.
Yep, I can look at that for you.
Yeah, and so how long do you expect them to be working in that quarry? They'll just be working alongside of you until they decide not to, or? is there a
Yeah,
term?
not until we decide not to. I'm sure there's a sunset date on that agreement that I'm not aware of. But I can look.
Okay. If I could follow up with you, I would appreciate
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Arlen?
You're covering a good chunk of the property now.
Mhm.
What is considering the usage that you're at now, what is the expected life of the quarry down by Brooklyn?
Good question. And it always depends, but like you said,
It always depends on the work
with the
and
current usage and how things are going and the
Yeah.
jobs in the area, I'd say maybe 20 years.
That's 20?
Yeah, 20, that's my best guess right now.
Okay, and sort of idle question is, you say you're digging above and below the water table. What is the depth of the aggregate? Just curiosity that you're taking out, so 200 feet down, 200 feet up?
Matt, I believe it's 30 feet below the water, right?
Yeah, it kind of varies. The seam of good material that we're going for is about 30 to 40 feet below the surface, and then we have about another 20 feet that we can excavate on top of that. So it's about a, 2/3 is underwater, and then we have about a third of above water material that we go after. So in total, maybe 60 feet at its deepest between the top bank and the underwater material.
That's more of a engineering curiosity.
Yeah.
On the reclaimed ground picture, you have like a mound platform there. This is reclaimed. How is that mound or what reclaimed?
Yeah, so are you talking about like this little
Yes,
mound right
that-
here?
That little mound platform.
Yes.
Platform mound that's there. So I
Good
guess
question.
I'm speculating on the use of this reclaimed ground.
Yes, okay, so I would call this intermittently reclaimed. So this isn't final reclamation. To have something certified final reclamation, we have to go through the county and have them come out and inspect it. And then final reclamation would meet our final reclamation plan contours. So this is interim reclamation, where we had a wash pond or a mud pond right here, and we used the overburden that we are stripping off from the northwestern corner of the site, capped that mud pond, and now it's just sitting there until we are able to use this remaining pile that you mentioned to then fill in the next pond. So we're kind of setting us up for the future, so we're able to push that overburden to the next pond and then make a final reclamation slope into the middle, where then it will slope into that like agricultural pond that we have in our approved final reclamation. Is that answer your question?
And do you anticipate this is going to be a future expansion ground for the village of Brooklyn, or is this always going to be open ground? I don't know, I guess this is going to be, once you have 60 feet of overburden put back in, it's, I don't know how consolidated it is, if it can be built upon, or if this is going to be more park agriculture or what.
Gotcha. So the final reclamation plan approved through Dane County is agriculture. So it'll be, trying to remember the final size of the pond, I wanna say it's like 20 or 30 acres, don't quote me on that, surrounded by farm field. So that's what it'll be when we are done with it and we reclaim it. So we have no plans on developing.
Is there a sunset date on the Anderson quarry?
Anderson. There is a permit expiration that I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, and again, I'll follow up.
Yeah, please do.
So we got a call from Lynette Anderson family, and there's something, is it in 25 where there's something where they have to renew, or is it? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep,
what
our
is
lease.
that process gonna be like, and is that an automatic renewal, or how does that work? She was asking us, and we're not really quite aware. Do you do that with the county, or do you know?
So I think what she's referring to is our mineral lease.
Okay.
With the Anderson family, and that does have a renewal clause, and I wanna say it's a 10 or 20-year renewal clause.
Okay,
Now, I didn't read up much on Anderson for this meeting, so excuse me for not knowing too much about this beforehand. But that would be dealt with just between Payne and Dolan and Anderson.
okay,
That's not permit related.
okay. Thank you.
Is there a risk of a non-renewal? Or is it typically just, I don't know how many times it's renewed already? Maybe it doesn't matter.
I believe we're in our first term right now of the
Okay.
lease, and so we have not approached, or we haven't had an experience with any renewals of that lease.
Okay, and Jennifer, you said the resident
contacted us and
Contacted us.
so we were like unaware. And I
Right,
knew
that makes sense.
you were coming, and so I was like, well, I will see her and I will talk to her and ask her, but
Yeah.
we were. Well,
Yeah, that
last
makes
year, we don't have too many of these, so.
Right, and especially if it's a lease question, only us know that.
Well, and she didn't really phrase it like it was a lease question, it was, you know.
Yeah, something's coming up, she's
Yeah.
not sure, she wants help, but
Yeah,
Tim, you have another question?
And it's my understanding that south of the Anderson Quarry, there was a lease on that property and that lease expired.
yes,
Correct.
Yep.
And
that's done.
that's done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Very good.
Confirmed with Dane County that permit is no longer valid.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? Well, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 7. Let's talk about the parks plan. Dayton Bridget, did you want to mention anything before we just have it happen, or any comments about the plan?
I think it's ready to go. By the way, if you haven't met her, this is Bridget Van Bellingham, senior planner from Dane County Planning Division. And other than we spent a heck of a lot of time putting this together between the two of us and the park committee, Diane Packett is here, and also from the park committee. I can't tell you how many times it's gone bounced back and forth for additions, corrections, errors, supplemental information. Like we had Bridget had put together all of this great information on a single map. And, as the park committee looked at it, we just thought, oh man, it's just too much. And so we asked Bridget if she could have her department, you or your department, I don't know who actually was doing it, to split the information in 2 maps and make it a little more digestible by not only us, but anybody from the public that wants to take a look and say, hey, what is the town of Oregon doing? Maybe the thing that, I think this kind of is a capsule in time of what the town of Oregon is. I mean, there's a lot of historical information we've included, schools, cemeteries, park system, population demographics. And really how little the town of Oregon has grown in the past 2 to 4 decades. I mean, it's basically almost nothing. So, we have a lot of resources here, and we have a lot of things, as you see, for instance, on page 19 is a list of the things that we would really like to focus on that we think are important, that need some attention. And we hope to accomplish as many of those as possible during this 5-year plan that this plan actually represents. So not set in stone. As far as I'm concerned, this plan can be amended by the Parks Committee next month, a year from now, maybe not till 5 years from now, but at the very minimum, 5 years from now. Take another look, see where we've been, how far we've gotten, and how our priorities have changed, and what we need to make sure we do for the future to ensure that there are lots of recreational opportunities for residents in the town of Oregon.
Sounds good. Anyone, questions or comments for Dave and Bridget?
I was not at the public meeting
Right.
for the plan, but I did take the time to read through it. It is really well done. Very comprehensive. It is not just a brush over. And so I really appreciate all the time that's been put into this. Both park specific, but also the historical background and things like that. So it really looks great.
There's a lot of history to cover.
Yes, yeah, clearly.
Anything else? Arlen?
Well, brought up, it's maybe a nitpick, but there, you have on page 22 or page 9 of the plan, the listing of the school locations and the cemeteries. Great, thank you for doing that. There is at least one school that's not on there, down at Bellbrook and Tipperary in the southeast corner. And I forgot to bring my book that may have one or two more.
Okay, and I did follow up with you after the community input meeting. I sent you an email and asked you to provide that information if you wanted it included in the final draft of
I
this.
will.
Okay, and we can add it at an appropriate time in the future, so.
Otherwise, I have to concur with Tim that this is a great draft, and my back hurts already from all the work that's planned.
You're volunteering at any particular park?
I'm a supervisor.
There's a lot of demands for Kennedy Park, thanks down in the public input. meeting.
There were a lot
Yeah.
at Kennedy Park.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot. It is great. It's and it's amazing that you put it together in less than 6 months.
Let's just say 6 months.
We'll say less. It sounds better. But it could have been a year and a half, and it would still, it would still be a great deliverable. So it's really looking good. Any other questions or comments before we? Okay, we're looking for a motion then to approve the Parks and Open Space.
I would make a motion to approve the Parks and Open Space Plan. As it is,
There is a second.
with possible revisions with the schools.
I second.
Any other comments? Discussion? No. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
both of you and to all the committee members.
Thank you. Just remember, still here, anything else?
Thank you.
By the way, did you happen to see, I don't know, did you also CC the board or send to the board members the Dane County newsletter planning?
Oh, yes.
It's on page 43
Yep.
of the packet, actually, or tonight's board packet. So I did, but on page 43, I included it in the board packet.
That's great.
Yeah, that was really cool. It's shout out to Tom Oregon making the Dane County newsletter.
Almost there.
Our
It's there.
packet was so big that, yeah, look at us. We're big time.
So just as a housekeeping, I'll link this on our county town plan page that we have. I'll send you guys both the PDF and the original Word document, so any minor text edits can be done in-house.
Thank you.
You have all the pictures really, so you have all those files.
Do you have on your to-do list already to fill in that up on the cover page?
You have to fill in the adoption date of today
Yes.
and in the text too, I think.
Okay,
Mhm.
And then if there is an adopting like ordinance, I can also include that.
I
Like
don't
if
think we
there's
need
a-
ordinance. I
Or
think
like
just,
any
do we need an
We
ordinance?
could,
Oh, we could do that.
yeah.
Actually, we should.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
we should.
Yeah, we should. You could, yep. Yep, well, we could do that we could do that at the January meeting.
Okay,
It's
let's do
adopted
that.
by ordinance, yep,
Let's do that.
Okay, then I'll add that in when you.
yep. Yep,
Okay, if we do that, then can the additional school
Yep.
edits be
Yep.
thrown in there? Do you want to do that? Do you want to add Arlen's, however many historical school sites there are?
Mhm.
And then we would. And then for January,
Yep.
we would take another
Yep.
vote on
we'll
this.
add that to our ordinances, yep, yep.
Okay,
I'll maybe ask, I'll look to see and maybe I'll ask me, if he can draft, yeah, I'll look at that, okay.
item number 8, park report, and I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know if Dave, yeah, since Dave was here, I thought that I would add it right after in case Dave, since I knew Dave was here.
Whether we sort of covered it.
Yeah.
With item 7.
If there was anything more they wanted
I
to
mean, I
do.
can give you a quick report
Sure.
of what's been going on. So Just because we put that list out doesn't mean we haven't been working on a number of those things, okay? So, just an FYI, Bicentennial Park, we just put together the 4 benches that, brand new benches, composite benches that have been now installed by Abel and Ryan at Bicentennial Park. We've already got a nice comment on Facebook from a resident who was, went out there right after they were done and said, man, you guys should come out and see these brand new benches that are out at Bicentennial Park. So it was only one post, but it's still nice to get positive feedback.
It was actually Town Park.
Oh, was?
Yeah.
I thought it was Bicentennial.
Yeah, the benches are at Town Park.
Town Park.
No, but they're at
They're
Bicentennial also.
Bicentennial too.
Yeah, there's.
It was in, I don't know, maybe you're looking at a different place. I was on the Hillcrest Heights neighborhood Facebook page and it said, if anybody has had a chance to walk up to the park.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
I
That's good.
assume that's the park, the Town Park. There's a 6-foot bench out there.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have benches, both brand new benches, both at Bicentennial and the Town Park. So take a look if you'd like. We replaced the swing at Kennedy. We're having preliminary conversations regarding the new playground equipment for Kennedy for 2025. Eugene and I attended a Land and Water Conservation Fund webinar to learn about applying for recreational grants. Raven Oaks, we've identified an issue out there that a citizen brought to our attention, that the place where you get off the slides after you slide down is actually too high for the ages that the equipment is for. So we'll plan on doing something with that in 2025 to, whether that's adding material underneath it or whatever, we'll have to take a look at that. Got a little bit of vandalism. The dog sign was stolen from a dog waste station. Who knows why or what they're gonna do with it? I have no idea. Hillcrest Park on Della. I was hoping that we would get, I ordered the materials. They have not arrived to replace the borders with a composite material. But the town crew was able to come out and actually remove all of the decaying existing railroad tie borders that are there. So it looks a little bit like a mess there right now because stuff has been removed and it hasn't been replaced yet. But with the ground freezing and not really having as warm a December as we've had for October and November, you know, way above average, we had to put off the installation of the new borders till next spring. Lake Area Cemetery, we requested you approved attorney review. Jennifer has followed up with the attorney, but I'm not sure that she's gotten any reasonable response.
Well, I haven't heard back, yeah.
And then I guess the last thing I was gonna give each of you is, I have a spreadsheet. I keep track of the expenses by park, by each budget account, by each year. And I just wanted you to have that. We don't really need to talk about it. You can look at it at your leisure. But it's just a way for me to make sure that I stay within the budget constraints and also give you an idea of where the money is being spent and what it's being spent for. As far as the park funds. So obviously, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, or now or at any time in the future, if you want to know what something is or why something costs that much or why I went to this vendor instead of this one or whatever. So
Sounds great. Any questions for Dave? No, all right, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, moving on to item number 9, discussion and possible approval of the 2025 budget. And you'll find it starting on page 51. No changes since the last time that we met about it. So I will be looking for any questions first or comments before we move to a motion. Still checking. It should be all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you will see on page 55 that there's an expanded list of items.
Oh, this was in the budget.
We'll pick up
But
that.
that is included in the budget we're approving.
Oh, got it.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Uh-uh.
all right,
It's, that's number 10, Lori.
okay, all right. But it
Yeah, so we'll
is-
do,
it does follow that.
Yeah.
it does, so we'll do
Okay,
the,
I just
the
wanted,
4-page budget
wasn't
for.
sure whether that was to be discussed.
Okay. Okay, then I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I'd move approval of the budget for 2025.
And is there a second? Is any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, motion passes, thank you. Here's where we talk about the fee schedule and the employee schedule.
Okay,
So item 10, and it starts right after the budget documents. So page 55. And we've got really it's two-parted, but not really two-parted. There's our typical fee schedule, and then there's the pass-through building permit fees. So that's safe builds, and remember we talked about the split. We get a little bit back, but it's mostly a pass-through. Did you want to talk about the?
oh, I just wanted to draw that everyone's attention to it. The staff looked at and talked with me about the fee. We compared Pelletari's list of, and what they charge for picking up things at your home. And we decided to add some categories of items that we never had on our fee schedule, so it's just a longer fee schedule. I think the thinking being it would just give a little more, we've talked about this before, how at the Torque, since we don't weigh this stuff, there's always this subjective element. If, so you'll see a desk, $40. Well, if it's a child's desk, and so on and so forth. So there's still a room for sort of negotiating with people when they bring things in. But we just thought this would give us a little more structure for doing those bids when people want to drop stuff off and telling them what to charge. We didn't match Pelletari's prices. The thought being that there's some savings to be had in hauling it yourself and getting rid of it and so forth. So those are sort of middle of the road, up charges about $5 per item. And so that's for you to look at and see what you think of.
And that's about what we anticipated.
Yeah.
Said we needed in previous discussion. Okay. Anybody have any questions about either the town's fee schedule or the building permit fee schedule? Really, we'll consider it as one fee schedule if we vote on this.
Just connecting the open plan or open space plan to this fee schedule. Is our intent now that we have the open space plan approved to go back to a fee per lot basis? Impact fee?
I don't know what the process for that is, but I think that is our intent.
Okay, do we have to publish that here?
I don't know.
Okay.
So that's why I don't know the process. I don't know notification requirements either. So we can sort that out.
Okay.
I think we probably would, it would not, that question, that unknown at this point, would not affect approval of these fee schedules. And it probably would be nothing that we would start until after we approve the ordinance, the resolution or the ordinance.
It's in here, it's our fee in lieu of land, which is the impact fee, which is $2,000. I think that the law says you're supposed to have this calculation. I can't remember the term. Maybe one of you can help me with, there's a legal term for that. But you just have to you have to have whatever you're planning to put into your park, you have to have a calculated value of what that is. And so I think that part of what our park plan is supposed to help us do is to kind of calculate what that value is supposed to be. So I don't know if we've done that yet or not, that aspect of it.
I just want to make sure we don't lose track of it. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've set it aside for a while and we're obviously spending money
Right.
in the parks this coming year. And I just want to make sure that there is that we finish it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think, as I said, the intent is yes.
Yeah.
To do
Okay.
that, to charge. The schedule of getting to that point and the steps to get to that point, I think are slightly unknown at this point.
Okay.
But I don't think that there's any kind of drawback in having it in the fee schedule
Mhm.
and approving that, even though we don't collect it for until sometime in the future, based on us being legitimately able to collect it.
Got it. Okay.
If that makes sense. Any other questions about the fee schedule? All right, then I'd be looking for a motion to approve and probably crafted just to explicitly say the town's fee schedule and also the building permit fee schedule within the motion.
You know, this is as listed on pages 55, 56, and 57, or just the,
No, it's.
All the way through 64. All the way through 63.
Right.
All the way through page 63.
63, okay.
Yep.
The whole shebang.
The whole fee schedule.
Okay, just making sure we're
I'd move
on the
approval.
same, on the same pages.
Same multiple pages, yeah. So Tim moves to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
Arlen seconds, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say no, and that motion passes, thank you. Item 11, the fire and EMS reports, like I just mentioned, I don't have anything for Belleville.
I don't have anything for Brooklyn.
I think, I'm not sure if anybody meant.
Well, we didn't, our normal meeting last Thursday was pushed till tomorrow, but we did have a meeting of kind of for the planning meeting for the new fire department, and basically we talked about was how to move forward. We try to get a timeline going with goals to approve a timeline that will fit in with the village master plan. And tentatively right now, what we agreed upon is we need a space needs analysis for the new fire department. We need a location analysis, whether it be in a present location. They talked about with the present location, what to do with I know the village has talked about what to do with the old village hall. That will be interesting because there are those that would love to keep the village hall and call it a historical site, for lack of a better term. I'll stay away from that. Or use that. There's talk of different factions of the village wanted to use that land, whether it be the senior expansion of the senior center, or use it for the fire department, whatever. Jason Manthe is going to write out an RFP. That document should be out by sometime in December. We're in December, so I'll find out more at our meeting tonight.
That's the RFP for the analysis to be done.
Yes.
Right.
The two separate RFPs, one for location and one for.
I believe so, yeah.
For the space.
One for space needs and one for location.
Okay.
I guess the RFP will be, the info from RFP will be supposedly back by January. They want to get input after that time. They want to get input initially said from the village, and we expanded that, said, well, it's got to come also from the municipalities. And it can't necessarily be the same questionnaire going out, being that we have other needs, different needs. Chief also again reiterated a need for a ladder truck, it said within, like I say, statutes, there needs to be a ladder truck within 5 miles of the jurisdiction of the village. I don't know how that fits in with Tim, what you were talking about earlier.
That's a new one on me.
That's,
That,
Let's see
I've
that.
not heard that before.
well, this is, and then it'd be a good idea if I invited Glenn to come into a meeting, because Glenn would be more than happy to come in and talk about that. Yeah, so, I do know that the village planners, want nothing tall, no buildings taller than 3 stories. Amongst some of the other things we talked about, that some of the village master plan, I guess, wants to keep the village hall. So this should be very interesting in the next number of years. Where this is gonna be located, how it's gonna be located, how it's gonna be paid for.
And if,
Mhm.
I didn't hear if,
That's,
so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm,
yep. So stay tuned. I'll find out more tomorrow.
Excellent, thank you. Anything else, fire and EMS related? All right, let's move on then to item 12, and that's torque, and there's a memo from Sheldon on page
Or is this the
63.
one? Yeah, one page.
Mhm.
Just to point out, you can see that getting into November, the traffic is slower. So it seems like our projections about reducing the hours with the seasons are panning out. Because if you see the last 3 weeks, at about half the volume that we would have on a regular Saturday during the earlier part of the fall, late summer. And then we're gonna start with the winter hours every other Saturday, first and third Saturday of the month through the end of March. So that's how we're gonna operate.
Is there a
That's all.
signage out there for hours like that, with the date range and the hours?
It's on the website and I meant to, that we had some signs that we used last year.
Mhm.
So I will double check to make sure those are up there. Yeah,
I can't remember if we ordered signs last year or did we plan to?
we did order some but I think that they might have them from last time. They tried to make them reusable by, not putting the year.
Oh,
So anyway,
right.
I will make sure that they have those up.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions for Lori about the torque activity? Okay. Moving on, item 13, Plan Commission report, anything, Arlen?
Well, just to update you, the discussion is how to deal with the transfer development rights. And that in the general tone is keep it simple, keep it very similar to a zoning application with Dane County. So keep it simple. Come up with a form and to be filling in the blanks that are no different, no more onerous than what the applications that if you're going to be building the home. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. The old KISS philosophy, keep it simple, stupid. And moving forward, but so we're coming up with an application for review, and we'll be and we have one more meeting this month, next week. There is some action there's an application in, and I believe we'll be discussing the TDR again. Continue with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Did you, and I can't remember whether it's Rutland or Dunn, who's got TDR in place already? Do they have?
Do we have what?
Is it Rutland or Dunn or none of the above that have got TDR in place?
Oh,
do that,
Rutland.
Do you have an example of whatever they use for documentation?
That's what we're looking at, is some of the other
Okay.
forms, but the goal is still to be having something straightforward,
Yeah.
simple.
Right.
Nothing unique or hard to confuse.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm asking without having any idea whether their
It's gonna be
application is good.
looking at, that's part of the task, is to be looking at
Okay.
what other municipalities are doing.
Any questions for Arlen on planning machine? Thank you, Arlen.
Yeah.
And just moves right along with you, road traffic safety, item 14.
Okay, we have, let's see, the minutes from the last, let's say, starting on 64. That is the draft, the red part of the, on the first page on 64. That is a discussion, and that's what's going to be eliminated, because it looks like there's some action taken there, and there was no action taken. It was just recording part of the discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
and could I add something? That we had a lot of people at that meeting, so
Yes.
we wanted to make their views heard, so that when the minutes, the first draft was put together, tried to kind of make sure that everything was recorded that came up for conversation. And we just got a little wordy there. We decided we could.
Well, it was all good stuff, and it was, we had people come to be observing and making comments and making a request, and we said, there's interest.
We liked it.
So we like that, and good citizens are seeing that there's something that they can be contributing to.
Yeah, that's
So, and we're glad to see the public in and keep us on our toes.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else is there? Oh, there's a lot of things that are going to be going on next spring. When the snow isn't flying, we're going to be having some markings on, let's see, Lincoln Road, Fish Hatchery Road, Netherwood, Hillcrest, and the not Hill, Glenway. And some stop marks there. So stay tuned. When the weather warms up, we'll be and the pavement is not too wet that it can take paint. That will happen. We may be having 10 of our roadways cored to be seen. What is it made of? How much gravel, asphalt base is there? Basic information we should be, engineering information we should have, that we can be making better decisions next time. We're going to hopefully we'll have that. And also because Raven Oaks is coming up and the streets are in different conditions, and there is concern that some of them may not have the base they're supposed to. So we'll be, as we put together the specs, which should be in January and February, be putting it out to bid for their work at Raven Oaks. Questions?
Are those the lineage that you're gonna be doing, is that going to be sight lines on the white lines on the side? Is it center? Is it both?
It is only both on Netherwood, since it's wider. Because it's wider, we can have a 2-foot lane on either side. The rest of the street, they're too narrow to be having the fog lines. But this is also an experiment where this is the feeling, and this is also cost factor. Paint, the paint lasts from 3 to 5 to 7 years before it needs to be redone again. So this is an experiment. Let's see how this goes and what our public response is. But well, good night like tonight. Where's that edge?
Right.
So it's a
It's hard.
visual and safety thing that we would like to
Well,
see how it's
working. I appreciate that committee, job you guys have put in, Bob and the folks are really concerned with the safety part of it.
Yeah.
Somebody that drives on Netherwood banking. And whether, what they did with the road was wonderful, we paved it. But it makes it even more difficult to see, being that it's black, and then when you
Yes.
get foggy, it's like, where the heck is that end line? So, you know, as
Yes.
as somebody that lives off of there, I'm happy, and my neighbors around Allen Drive area are all looking forward to it.
We've got a fair number of roads though with
Yeah.
edges are not solid,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
I know that.
Broken up and you can't put a line there anymore.
Oh, no, I know, I understand that, and I know.
So even a center line is,
That's it.
oh,
At least give me a reference.
Yes, yeah, anything's included, right, right, thank you.
then there's a chart on page 68. Which I think is it looks like a road condition, it's the ratings.
Oh, yes.
Things like that.
For Raven Oaks, yes.
Yep, but that's probably, I mean, that's what our key. So that's what
If you see
our focus is at this one, we know.
that's what the Pacer ratings are in the 3 and 4, they need work. The areas that are in at the 9, at the Awani Court, that was done just a few years ago and is in excellent shape and will not be part of the project.
Okay.
As well as the one that has a Pacer rating is 7, which is Trail Ridge Court. And that's it does not need to work right now. So the Pacer, so you're getting to Pacer ratings, and I wish I knew what the acronym was for. But it's a paving asphalt rating.
So, can I ask you a question though, on this chart? The grand total for all pavement ratings equal 3 is 2.19 miles. Okay. If we back out Awani Court.
Yeah, it's a higher number.
It's a
if we
higher
back it
number,
out. That's
so what-
probably not right.
Is the,
I'm not quite sure where how this is calculated.
and with Raven Oaks, we're doing everything regardless of rating, right? We're gonna do the entire subdivision? Is that?
Entire subdivision except the ones with the 7 and 9 ratings.
7 and 9 Trail Ridge, so that's a cool.
That's the Awani Court.
And then you see the ones that are 4,
Yep.
some are 4, some are 3.
Yep.
So the type of work that's going on in those two, that's a decision. When we have our February meeting, we'll be starting to pick and choose how much work is going to be done on each one.
Gotcha. Okay, so really, well, let's see, I was gonna make an assumption, but I don't know if it's a fair assumption. If a rating is 9, let's say, or 7. Chances are we're going to maybe seal that only.
That I think we're going to be,
That's part of it.
that'll be part, I'll be looking at what's in the budget.
Right.
And and how much work do we have to have? And and if you go from the pulverizing and repaving is the most expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But if some of them can be wedged, that's going to be half to a third the cost.
Right,
And then we can be doing more.
right,
So there's going to be a balance, and then
okay.
there's the seal coating, which we would love to do on the work that's in that 9, 7 and 9
Right,
category.
Right, okay. I can't remember how we worded it when we told people about the culverts being installed and the work happening in 2025. I don't know how specific we were about what type of work, maybe we.
That's
fine.
It was to be doing major work,
Right.
but that's what the February or the January, February meetings are going to be about, as to what type of engineering work. We're hoping to have some of the cores back,
Okay, right.
especially up in Raven Oaks to be seeing what's underground.
Okay, so scope to be determined.
It's a work in progress.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to throw in a recommendation that we have some kind of follow-up communication before work starts.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for Raven Oaks, but for any place we're doing work like this, where there's a variation in what people are getting.
Yes.
You know, oh, I got a brand new street in front of me, but I just got this.
Right.
There, I think if we explain it and here's why
Yeah.
these roads get this is why.
Right, and then so that's what the January, February meetings are, to be putting together the specs for that, and to be sending out the communication, and then in the June, July, August, as to when the work is actually gonna be done. And there was talk about, since we are doing the entire subdivision, that being right around the high school graduation, that we have to anticipate that there's going to be some parties May, June for graduates.
Right.
Okay, Ken, if we can shift the workload a little bit after our good seniors have graduated and had their parties.
Yeah.
It's a thought.
Yep.
Can we be considerate of them? Or just say the bulldozers are more important than graduation?
I'm not gonna say that.
You're not gonna say
I'm not
that.
saying that.
So we're gonna try and accommodate.
Yeah, no, it sounds great.
No, good question.
It has been discussed though. That was
Okay.
definitely a part of the discussion.
Yeah, and we'll be finding, and again, we'll be looking at section by section by section, because some of those sections are, well, they say three, are they 2.5? And the other one's 4, 3.5, 3 3/4.
Right.
And different work can be applied to each one, because some of them are really not good and indicate that there may be some very suspect base.
Yeah, sounds great. Any other questions for Arlen? Nope. Thank you, Commission. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Right, number 15, item 15, Public Works Report. The spectrum, the line damage starts on page 69.
Yes. And their bill is.
Yeah. So they said that the markings were out of date.
So they said that the markings were out of date. Abel provided that he called in another ticket. He's got the tickets in here. What he has said to me was that they started to hand dig, and that Digger's Hotline lets you dig 18 inches from the markings. And I was not there, so I do not understand. So I don't know if, from what he said on page 69, while replacing a culvert at the intersection, lines were found and one line was cut. The cut was caused an outage for Digger's Hotline, had lines marked. Hand digging with a shovel was done. Unfortunately, the excavator found what the shovel did not. I'm not quite sure what happened while they were out there. So I'm not.
So when they came back and said, because they sent somebody out to investigate. And their investigation found that the ticket, oh, right here. Says, so this is on my page 72, which is your page 71.
Right, and I don't think that's correct, because that Abel has the ticket on page 86, where there was another ticket called in. So I don't think he is correct when he said the ticket was out of date, because I said to him that there was another ticket called in. Because 85 is the original ticket, page 86 is the second ticket, and page 87 is the third ticket. So when he did his report, he's saying the ticket was out of date. That's not correct, because there was another ticket called in.
And has that been communicated back to
Mhm.
Spectrum?
Yeah, and then his response to me was, well, I don't know if I have been in here, but,
I saw where you said that that is not correct.
Mhm.
That was on, that's on page 71 or 72, whichever.
yeah,
You said, the ticket was not expired as stated in the memo. As a relocated ticket was called, 3 tickets total.
right,
The employees were working within what they thought was the safe zone based on that marking.
right.
So,
And then I think he basically said, that it was marked and he sent me a picture of the line that was marked. And then that's when Abel said, I said, well, Abel, were you working in what was marked? There's a picture of the marking.
Right. With hand tools, like hand digging,
And that's what Abel said. We were hand digging
but I
because
didn't
you're
find anything, but
apparently,
then, yes.
you can,
Because you can do
you can work within 18
18
inches
inches.
of it with hand tools.
mhm.
So I reached out to our insurance company, and so my question here is our insurance agent said, I can turn this and see if there's any coverage, and it said, please let me know if you would like me to put a claim in, and I'm not going to do that without getting permission from the board.
Can we, here's what I'm gonna say, which is not worded properly, but can we prove that it's really not our fault? Have we got an answer from Spectrum's, or any kind of answer from Spectrum on the existence of 3 calls?
3 tickets.
I don't, so the person that's been contacting me, it seems like the guy that's contacting me is like a third party, like they must turn it right over, so this, Williams might be his last name. It doesn't seem like that's like a Spectrum, it seems like that might be almost like a collection agency is kind of the impression I got of what he kind of called me. And like, he just contacted me the other day, like, where are we on this? I'm like, it's on my,
I said,
talking to my board.
Do we have another contact at Spectrum that, probably not the people who would call us for right away access, anything like that, but any kind of
So,
or administrative?
like, I got, so they had to come fix that, correct? So we had a right of way request, so we have to sign off when they want to work in our right of way, right?
Right,
So I got a request to work in the right of way. And I said, okay, well, we actually didn't finish putting in that end wall of that culvert, because if they would have finished putting in that end wall, they would have hit the other line that was in the way. So I said, well, hey, we need to put in that other end wall, so
come and move your line.
yeah, that's what I
That's
said.
what they have to do.
Right.
They're responsible for moving their line.
Right, so I said, we need to put in that end wall, so you need to come, so I'm not gonna sign off on this right away, because I need you to move that line so that we can finish putting in our end wall, but then he contacted Abel, and Abel said, well, I already took the end wall back, and it's, so.
okay.
So then
I'm just trying to figure out how quickly this becomes a legal issue. Not
at
just
that
like a
point, I would have thought we could have
communication
worked
issue.
something out with the line and had them, because it should be ours where we have to put our stuff needs to be there. They should be getting their stuff out of the way.
Yes.
Right.
Susie has a lot of experience with with Spectrum, with all of the utilities companies, and what is of their responsibility and what is our responsibility and what needs to be moved and how that goes. I strongly recommend that she could be involved in that conversation.
Can you talk to April?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think Abel, because that end wall should have gotten put in. Because I think it's a pretty important part of being
Yes.
up there in that project.
Yep.
And it should have gotten done at that time, because,
Cold, no.
Well-
It'll be frozen.
yeah, but I mean,
Well, and when
Frustrating.
when the water starts flowing in the spring, there's gonna be an erosion problem and it's close enough to that corner
Yeah.
that it could cause a lot of issues with our new paving and
Yeah.
the shouldering and all of that.
What, now we have that issue of finishing a project so that we don't have continued issues into the future. But I'm trying to recreate a sequence of what happens here. We contacted Diggers Hotline. They identified where underground utilities were. We had to work close to one of those lines. So we have one that we cut. And we had to work close to one of the lines was the Diggers Hotline and the actual line off. Excuse me, were they off or were they?
I don't know.
Okay, well then, we don't know. And finding out, are we going to be getting into he said, she said kind of a situation here? Well, I'm hearing that there was some knowledge that something was close and Abel was getting into hand digging. So there was some knowledge of something was nearby. And during the hand digging, things got cut.
No,
No,
it
it
got
didn't,
cut
no.
when they used the
Not the whole
excavator
thing.
outside of that 18-inch
Okay,
workway.
okay, so there's an 18-inch workability area where you do hand digging, so they didn't have to hand dig. They were outside of it and they still cut it.
And that's the question. I don't think Jennifer knows that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the question.
That's a
And
question, so I think that's an important question.
That's.
And if Diggers Hotline misidentified something,
Or didn't identify.
did
Right,
they identify or did they misidentify it?
right.
Well, that's why I think if Sue and Abel
Yes, they should
connect
talk.
and have a discussion and whatever they have to do. And then if she has a good feel for what the next step is, then that's when maybe the board comes back into play
Yes.
or something.
Can I just
Well, I
make
guess that sequence is, I think, rather important in here because it does start spreading out some liability. Then you get down to the last thing, the $12,000 to
Reconnect that line.
reconnect that line. That seems a little stiff, a little spendy.
Well, I think we have to go take a step back, do a little fact finding, and then we'll have a feel for which direction you're going with it. Dave, were you gonna say something?
Well, just Susie had a meeting with Abel at 9:30 this past Friday, and I was just wondering if that was a topic that was discussed at that time.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he has in his email, Diggers Hotline had the lines marked. But I don't know, I mean, so he knew they were marked because he must have been working around them, but I will contact Abel and tell him to reach out to Sue and
That would be.
connect with her, and then he can tell her the story, and then she can sort of relay.
What is this diagonal?
That makes sense.
Yep,
So,
so I will hold off on doing anything with the insurance.
and then there's some corrected, so the moving of the line because of the end wall,
Well, that's all done because Abel said that,
they did it?
yeah,
Okay, so that,
No, they didn't put an end wall in yet. though.
they didn't put the end wall
Not
in,
yet.
but the right of way, Abel said he wasn't putting the end wall in.
okay, I guess that's another question we have of him, why not? And if, are you holding up some work from Charter or whoever? This is a Spectrum line?
No, because Abel said not to hold it up because he wasn't putting in the end wall.
Do you know that did he mean, I'm not gonna do it this year because of the
No,
weather?
I'm never
Or did-
putting it in, I took the end wall back.
Okay.
I returned the end wall.
Okay, I think we have a couple of engineers on our
Might be a couple.
commission who would take a good look at that.
That'd be a good idea. Okay. Okay. All right, anything else on 15A? Let's say no. 15B, we're gonna I'm not entirely sure about that situation. We're gonna postpone 15B.
Yeah.
And so then we're on to 16 and this is page 88, if you aren't there already. And it's the building inspections for November. Item 17, Chris Johnson sent us an update about some of the senior center things and council on aging related events, so you can see that. I appreciate that she sends that to us each month. Item 18, this is the vision document. Here's what I'd like to do. I will send that to each of you. If you could look at it over, let me backtrack even before I even say that. I'll send it to each of you. It's been through multiple meetings, the town group, we've met with the UW Extension people a couple of times. It is not necessarily a final draft, so that's what we're asking you to review and see if there's anything. We're looking for fine tuning, really, but if you think there's something glaring about the questions or that.
I do have some questions about the wording of some of section FV5, but then.
Let me send you, if you look, it depends on what.
It's all of a sudden FV5 was gone.
Okay, I'm afraid the draft you saw is probably an old draft.
Okay.
I will send you the freshest draft.
With the markups?
The freshest draft that I can find. What's that?
With markups or?
Do you want the markups? They're really difficult to read.
No, I don't.
No, it'll be a clean copy.
Okay.
It'll be a clean copy.
Okay, so you're sending that out
I'll send it out.
and you need a response by,
I would love, well, it'd be great to have a response by Friday. Because I really want to turn something around to the UW Extension people. And what I was saying before is that is not necessarily the final draft. What we sent to them or what I sent to them on Friday is not necessarily the final draft. They are going to use the Survey Center at River Falls, who is one of the, we've been talking to them, the professors there. He and his team will go through and look at it as far as the structure of the survey, the way the questions are asked and the answer options and things like that. So we'd like to get it as close as possible, what we give to him, but it is not necessarily the final version. And then there's a schedule. We've got a schedule too that we have to, at some point, the group in the town. So Jennifer and I are in the group, Stephanie's in the group, and then Tim Janacek. And we'll get together probably close to the beginning of the year to talk about the next steps. And at that time, it should be in progress already with the River Falls people as far as putting the survey together in the format that they think is appropriate and onto a system where it can be answered online. But again, at that point, or even early next year, it will not necessarily be the final draft, although it could be. So I think that's all I know. Like I said, I'll send you the file. And then it's up to you as far as feedback. If you have feedback, it could be notes, it could be scribbles on the pages. However you want to do it, if you have it on paper, I can come get it. I can make a copy of you. However you want to do it, whatever works for you. But it is kind of a quick turnaround, so I apologize for that.
And I can print it off before you leave tonight too.
Oh,
Print it off.
okay.
'Cause
If
it's like 45 pages.
it is, yeah, it's not short. It's 30, I think it's 30, yeah, it's 30 questions or something like that.
It's just the way that they put it in and gave it to us, so that's the problem.
Well, it's okay, it's a file export from one system.
Yeah.
Into Google Docs. A
Right,
different format there,
Yeah.
exporting it to a different format there, and
Yeah.
then, so you're into like third generation and.
Yeah, the run-ons were just.
Yeah, that form. So don't worry, when you get this, whether it's a paper tonight or a paper.
Okay, and I think that's like hard to it's hard to comment unless it's almost on paper or you're
Yeah, that's.
doing it like email, I
paper
guess,
from it.
one sentence or something.
So if you can stick around and fill out 30 pages each. But I should say too, don't worry about the format because of these different exports and imports. Some of the things don't line up. Don't worry about alignment of anything, just really strictly, what's the question? What are the answers? Does it make sense? That type of thing. Is anything missing? We dropped out all the park questions. I don't know if I should
What
say all
questions?
the parks related questions, because we've got the plan. There may be some overlap, but it would be not to the level of specificity that we had before as far as parks. And this is also not a plan commission type doc, this is not a land use document or anything like that, but there may be some questions that allude to that. It's just a general vision questionnaire survey. We'll get that to you. Any questions about that? All right, item 19, board communication and future agenda items. There's a list there of everything
Did
you possibly need to know.
April, so.
One of the things we haven't done with this item, and we could, is if you've got, for future agenda items, if you've got something you want on one of our agendas, future, obviously future agenda. But if you've got something that you would like us to discuss or act on, it'd be good to bring it up ahead of time. So either we can prep for it or you can prep for it, or all of the above. And I think it's not critical one way or the other. We can just do it the way that we typically are doing it now. But we do have that placeholder here where we can say, here's some things we want to talk about. All right, any other questions about that? And then item 20, Jennifer, what's the report?
Okay, so we have Baker Tilly do our contract, do our audit each year. There's two options. So they do not do, we don't have them do a full audit. They do what's called a compilation audit. They can do a 1 year, which is one option. They also have given us an option of doing a 5 year. They also help us prepare a CT report, which is very important. They have been great to work with.
How long have we been working with them?
I would say 15 years.
So they're really responsive as far as.
They have been very responsive. We are, I would say we are a smaller township. So, we're not super small, but we're not super large. So we're kind of that niche where we're kind of in that sort of category where you kind of tend to find people that don't sometimes want to work with you because you're kind of small and you kind of, it's hard to sometimes find that, but we've had really good luck. I was telling, Carl that oftentimes throughout the year, I will contact them and they will still answer my questions and there's not any additional charge or anything like that. They have, one of the things about doing a 5-year contract is it's always kind of good. I think that she has, what page do they have the fees?
Yeah, it's $6,000 or $7,000 per year.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look. What's nice about getting fees ahead of time is that then you can budget for them. It's always nice to sort of know ahead of time what fees are going to be, and then they tend not to increase. You're not caught off guard if something really were to increase.
And the compilation satisfies our reporting
requirements.
Correct. For now, that satisfies our reporting requirements. If, things would change, so let's just say you were to go to a combined clerk treasurer position, we would have to have a full audit. So that would be the only, and then you'd have to have, that would change the kind of audit you would have to have.
Have we ever had a full audit? Here?
Not, no.
Anything
Mm-mm,
recent?
not anytime recently. Mm-mm. And, we've talked about it, like, especially when there's been a change in personnel, but a full audit would be a lot for a township of this size. It really goes deep into the weeds, and quite honestly, until we just did the, office change, we probably would have failed, just cash handling and things like that. We just did not have precautions in place that they would have required us. So there's just a lot of things that a full audit requires you to have that we probably would want to think about before we even have a full audit. A lot of policies, procedures, manuals, employee handbooks, things that we need to, like, we know we would need to have before we even get into a full audit, that we should think about before we have a full audit to be done. There are things that we need to prepare ourselves for. I do think at some point we should have a full audit.
I do too.
I think probably about the time that I get ready, I think.
About the time you're ready to retire.
I do think a full audit is always a good idea, but I think there are policies that audits, they're gonna go through that you need to have in writing.
Right, and we
And
should,
we need to get those in place.
right, yeah, right, yeah.
And you need to have them.
So
It's
what,
just basically a checklist. An audit is right, a checklist of all the things that you have to have. And that's,
Well, I know that we've got certain things in the works, right,
Yeah.
or at least discussions about them, but I wonder if it would make, I think it would make sense to get as close to a real life checklist from them as possible and say, okay, we have got it all covered, or we missed these few things, or whatever, and then at least prep for. In general, it's probably a good idea to have whatever's on their checklist, whether it's documentation or processes or whatever.
and I think that's why I think why I really geared towards wanting to have at least. I like the boards I've had, or well, the boards I've had the last few years, they've all been really good about having, Baker Tilly come in and having an audit. I would be really afraid if there would be ever a board that would come in and say, well, we don't want to spend the money at all. We don't want to have, so that's why I was like, well, it would be nice to make sure that there's like a 5-year audit, because what would happen if, I'm not saying there would be, but me or anybody after would not have that protection of saying you're not going to have somebody to have an audit, that there's a little bit of protection for everyone, that there's at least somebody coming in and having an audit.
I'm surprised there's not a regulation or.
There's not.
just a best
That's why I
practice
asked.
There's
or
not.
something.
I mean, the fire
There's not.
EMS,
Right,
fire EMS district
right,
requires an audit.
right.
And so that's why I asked the question. Because we're all part of a fire EMS district, different ones. And we just had our report of our auditors,
Mhm.
and they said you really need to make sure you've got this in place and this in place. And, we had this issue with the surveyor recently, and it calls to mind, wow, we really don't have a procedure in place for that. Is that going to cause us a problem?
Right.
what schedule are we on now for audits?
We have an audit every year, Okay.
That's what I thought.
but we don't have, what the difference is a full audit. We don't need a full audit every year, and you wouldn't do a full audit every year, but you would potentially want to do a full audit, possibly in a year that you would have some sort of like staff turnover or something would happen. You might want to do a full audit in some year like that.
Complete board turnover, things like that.
Something might happen, but or you would combine positions. Like I said, if you were to combine some have a clerk and a treasurer combined, you would have to do it in that instant. here, what I'm asking today is every year we would just sign a 1-year contract. We're having an option of being able to sign a 5-year contract with Baker Tilly, which would give us then a set rate for the next 5 years of what we would be paying. In my recommendation, I want to make sure that I have the protection of that there is going to be an audit, and that another board wouldn't come in and say, I'm not going to do an audit at all, because there is no requirement that you would have to have an audit. And I don't think that is this board that they would say that, but I just never want there to be somebody that would say, I don't want to do an audit at all. That would worry me.
Right, at the very least, an audit is a good check against
Yes.
controls here.
Yes.
And I don't have any, you know, if you had said.
Year by year, you can, and I don't know any other, I've had great experience with Baker Tilly, like I said, but I know there's other audit, I'm part of a clerks network, people are always asking different audit firms. Like I said, we're in this niche where we're not really large and we're not really small, and going out and asking for RFPs is like a little difficult for our size of a municipality.
You know, if we had just been with Baker Tilly for a year or 2 years or something like that and didn't have a good history with them, then, you know, maybe you get into a situation where you're comparing different firms, but there's nothing about the 5-year agreement that worries me. The increase over each year is about the same as the historic increases. So if page 106 in the packet is correct, so it goes.
What page is it?
106 in mine, and
So what tends to happen is we tend to, we always have like the lead, and then, you know, the person who we like work, then there's another person who we work with, you know, and then that person who collects our information tends to be kind of, you know, maybe a newer grad, a newer auditor. So.
does anyone have a strong feeling one way or another about a 5-year agreement versus a year agreement, at least for this particular approval?
Well, I'd be deferring to people who with financial experience, but it seems like an annual audit seems to make sense for public confidence and review.
Yeah.
And I should clarify, I guess I don't mean the actual frequency of audits, I mean the agreement with Baker Tilly. Assuming that we do annual audits. Period.
And again, they never mention once in any of this document about an audit. It's a compilation. It's purely a compilation. It is not an audit of processes, procedures. They don't, you know, other than coming back and saying, we would put that into a long-term liability instead of a short-term liability. Anything beyond that, which is more audit driven, is not this.
Right.
This is a compilation. This is give us your work. We'll look through it. We'll put it in a nice format that has our letterhead on it, and we will take your information and make it look nice. And if you have some clarifications you need during the year, we can help you with that. Not an audit.
Right, so we're not talking about change in scope. We're talking
Right.
about the same service that we've had
Right.
the past
Yes,
decade and a half.
it is, but it is not an audit.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just want to be.
That's true.
I just want to make sure everybody's clear that they're not taking a deep dive.
And the cost of the
Right.
compilation is
$6,000 or $7,000, $6,200.
$6,200.
Yep.
That's on page 95.
Well.
And then the
okay,
5-year
I'm
agreement
going
is,
Go a few more pages.
yeah.
And that's,
Keep going a few more to 106 and you'll see there.
You can see the 5-year,
this is at the fine print here, this is very difficult to
It's up,
differentiate.
it's up on the screen too, Arlen, if you.
Yeah, right there.
That's easier to see.
Page 5.
it should say page 5 up in the top
Oh,
left-hand corner.
Five, a new document, and that is
106 or 107, depending which pack you have.
I have 108 actually.
I have 107.
Yeah,
We just have different factors.
it's,
Chaos, slightly different.
chaos
That's okay.
reigns.
You're almost there,
There
There it
we
is,
go.
right
Keep
there.
spinning.
on the right-hand side there, yeah. Those are the 5-year pools.
But this is again for the compilation.
Yes.
they're all compilations,
A 1 year versus a 5-year.
just a 1 year versus a 5 year.
But I'm gonna make trouble with the fees and making a 5-year agreement as long as we're all clear what we're getting for what we're spending.
And I think you could change at any time if we
I think so,
decided
too.
during
I think
this
so, too.
period of time that you decide you want to say, hey, we'd really like to do a full audit this year.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, oh, no, you can't. I think they're going to say, absolutely, you know, we can amend that during this time to do that, you know, they're not. So one of the things that we did specifically, because we worked with Baker Tilly, is when we updated, and actually Secret helped us, is we went with Civic System, which is Baker Tilly's accounting system, that was their software. We did that specifically so they could, our accounting system was that Baker Tilly. They designed our accounting system so that it merged, so they can actually have all of our like our accounting. So it's like, they don't even have to come on site anymore. They just upload our software and they have it all.
Yep.
So they can see it all. So it makes everything they do for us much easier.
But we don't have a quote here for a full audit, do we?
No, I didn't do that because
We're not ready for it.
we're not ready
Or
for it.
well, granted, we're not ready. Give me an idea as to what that,
Years ago, it was like $15,000. Now granted, that would have been years ago, and I think that might even be a little bit, that might be less now, because now we have updated software. We've invested a lot in our software, and so it might be a little bit less because,
And we've been working with them and
Yes.
their system,
Yeah.
so they don't have to,
yeah,
they don't have to translate.
yeah, I think we just need to tighten up some of just our written
Could
policies.
be 15 or 20.
Okay. Any other discussion about that before we make a decision here? Is it, or let me ask first before we get to the vote, anybody have an objection to the 5-year agreement? No, no. Okay, what I've been looking for is a motion to approve the terms of the engagement letter dated December 2nd, and that includes the chart, the table with the 5-year fees. Probably the best, easiest way to reference it. So if you look on page 102, is the beginning of the letter to Jennifer from the Baker Tilly folks.
dated December 2nd.
December 2nd, so that's where they reference that it's the letter, it's an engagement letter. I don't know if a actual agreement would follow or not, but I think if we approve the terms of the engagement letter, that's probably enough.
I think that's correct.
So I'd be looking for a motion on this.
I'd move to sign the engagement letter for the 5-year fees.
Okay, for a second, Lori seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or say no, and then the motion passes. Thank you. If you spin through to page 113. We'll hit the beginning of item 23. This is the town web contract.
So this is our town website. We've had it for a really long time. They have updated their. Do you want to talk about it?
I can really briefly,
Yeah.
they're moving away from the system that we use now to a different system. There'll be, it's not immediate, but it makes sense probably to get that in place sooner rather than later. There's a change in the fee, and I'm not seeing it right now. I wanna say
1,800
one time, so that's page 114. 1,800 one time. And then they also show. Jennifer, is there another fee, like
Yeah.
just a maintenance fee that I'm missing?
Then if there's
3,000?
otherwise, there's a $600 and a $300.
Tech support.
Yeah,
So-
so it's like we can keep our same one and there's a couple, it's like, seems like it's more of a. Maybe like a $900 fee.
What do you pay now? Per month or-
I think we pay maybe. $600 or $700 a year.
It's
I
not,
have to look.
it's not that much different.
No.
than the- I think it's mostly the one-time fee. that's
Yeah,
the biggest
right.
difference. So, and, that's a reasonable fee for having somebody manage your technology like that.
Yeah.
It's not, it's
To
almost.
redevelop your website on this new technology.
Right.
And then on an ongoing basis to spend $600 to $900
Yeah,
Which we're
a
spending-
year,
which we're spending.
$75 a month
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
We're not talking onerous
Right.
changes here. They make reference in here about that some of their customers are having a hard times using the web services.
What page are you on, Arlen?
I'm at 114, or the first page of the letter, they were talking about. We'd
oh, what we just
what we
got is that
discussed.
our existing customers are experiencing some sort of issues with the platform that, you know,
That's the current platform.
And we do have, like, we have the current platform, we do notice that, like, the town of Rutland, they went with this same web service and they got the updated platform, and we have gone out and we've used theirs, and we like the updated platform better than ours. So we would rather go with the updated platform, and I can't tell you other than if you just clicked around in it and just kind of noticed a little bit of differences, that it's just a little bit faster and a little bit there's just a little bit more, it's intuitive, a little bit different, so.
More intuitive.
Yeah, it's just, so we would like to go with that updated, and it's a little bit hard to explain, but if you're working in it, you can just tell a little bit of a difference that it is. So we would like to do that,
But we haven't really had issues.
no, we haven't had issues, it's just,
It's an upgrade. Essentially, it's an
Yeah.
upgrade.
Yeah.
Frustration.
it's frustration that, it's just a frustration than it is. I guess you could call it, frustrations can be issues, I
Right.
suppose,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's really just an upgrade, but the platform is different. So for me, the key concern is the transition. And so I think we'll need to work with Town Web and find out will we be down for a week, or what?
I think
What
they
will
run
the impact be? What's the learning curve on the new admin part of it? So that type of thing, I think is more, the cost, I'm not concerned about too much at all. But I think it's more the management of the transition that we should, not the board watch out for, but that'll come down to Jennifer, Stephanie. And
Yeah, I think it'll be a good thing. It's gonna be a good thing. We're just gonna transition into it. I mean, but it's just like any technology. You just gotta, and I think that especially with a lot of people that use their phone, I think it will be much better to do it when you use your phone with,
more mobile.
yes,
That's-
yeah, the new website would be better to use your phone. It would be more mobile friendly.
Yeah.
So. I think that.
do we have a copy of the proposal, like a phone? I
No,
see there's a
well,
link
she
to it.
sent, yeah.
There's a link to something.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let me see what it goes.
Yeah, that is the proposal at
Okay.
that link.
So, when do we need to get them an answer? Jennifer?
Does she say?
What we have done by the end of the year. Starting 26, mostly just work the old website, so.
So the link isn't open
Oh.
for me.
It is important to have it done by the end, oh wait,
By the end of 25.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, it starts on January 1st of 26.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, the sooner we could do it, the better. So I mean, it'd be nice to try to get this done like as soon as we can. I mean, we're in the middle of tax collection, so I mean, like, we're not gonna be able to put our, I would think it would be nice, something that we could try to work on as soon as we get done with tax collection.
Yeah.
That would be nice. So we could schedule it sometime like in February. That would probably be ideal.
Is there any reason not to authorize it now?
I would know if you could do it now, if you guys are okay with it, I'd like to do it now, and then that way we could get on the calendar, their calendar,
Yeah.
to work with their,
Yeah.
to work with their, to get
I'd be
on
comfortable.
calendar with theirs to go like in February sometime once we go in tax.
I'd be comfortable doing that if we provide that the dollar amounts in the letter also show up in the proposal,
Okay,
that there's no difference.
sure,
If there is a difference, then I think we come back in January.
okay,
So I don't know how to craft that motion necessarily, but
I can double check, I can just tell, are you looking at this, but just in case it ends up in
Yep.
your spam folder,
Yep.
that's what you're looking at?
Yep.
Okay, let me just double check, I can,
I think I was able to open it at home, but I'm not getting it here.
So I would move that we move forward with the transition to the new technology on our website. And sign the proposal as long as it's consistent with the cover letter provided by their account manager.
You're a second.
1,800.
Second.
Lori seconds that. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and that passes. Excellent. Thank you. Then Jennifer, did you want to talk about 20C property taxes?
property tax bills will be going out to tomorrow or Thursday. So, Stephanie picked up the dog license today, so we have the dog license here. We have extra set of the property tax bills here as well. Property tax bills.
Can I interrupt you just a second?
Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Good night, Steve.
Good night, Steve.
Property tax bills will be collected in the office on Mondays from 8 AM to 4:30 PM. So on other days, property tax bills can be dropped off. So
Dropbox.
yeah, the Dropbox, or, I mean, people can bring them into the office, but we're not going to be giving them receipts. So you can drop them off and then we will mail you a copy of the receipt. But what happens is we have to open up all the mail, stopping, printing off receipts. That's too hard. That's too difficult. So it's too disruptive. It would be almost like the village or other people will have people coming in just to handle walking traffic. So we set aside one day where we take people and that's our day to do it. And the way that the holiday schedule falls this year. But one important thing to remember is that people like to pay their taxes before the end of the year. It's very important. They like to pay before
Right.
January 1st. If they leave it in the Dropbox, we will be coming into work on January 2nd. Anything that's in the Dropbox, and even if you show up at our office on January 2nd, we will still date it as of December 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we.
Are you gonna publicize that?
Well, you know
or-
what, you all are here, if somebody is really that diehard, we are not going to deny you just because we
Okay.
are not sitting here on December 31st to collect your
Okay.
property taxes, we are still going to be entering them to the system that you are not going to miss out on your, that
Year
you're
end.
gonna collect your last bit of interest, that you cannot miss out on it. And then this year, we are also have this is the first year we're going to be doing it by credit card. So you.
By what?
Credit
Credit
card.
card.
So
And what's the fee?
I understand you roll your eyes. I think it's 2.75% that you pay, but people want it.
Yeah.
They want it.
0.75?
I'm pretty sure, I think that's what it is. They want pay by credit card.
Is that in the budget?
Not our fee, they pay it.
Yeah, it's the transaction fee and the credit card company gets it all.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot of it.
It's amazing what people will put on their
Yeah.
credit card, honestly.
Seems like a lot.
But I'm getting points.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Imagine
Imagine
if
more
you-
than 2.7. I mean, you're in the long run, it's not gonna-
I don't know, Stephanie saw it, set it all up.
I
People,
just saw, I got some from Windsor. Windsor offers credit card,
yeah,
it's 3%.
I think it's
Payment,
all
like the payment fee?
is the system I wanted. I included this because I thought it was in your packet. I thought it was kind of interesting. So it kind of gives you the real estate that's in the different in the different school districts and whatnot within your packet. What else do we have in here? This is that little text insert. Remember I told you that we had to get that out super early this year. So there's not a whole lot of information, but there's some information. We're gonna, of course, next year, there's gonna be that market reval in 2025. Talked a little bit about Kennedy Park in the text insert. Talked about the Raven Oaks getting repaved and the 5-year road plan. And then, I included in there that, about the information about getting all of the paperwork for the board positions. So they're due 5 PM on Tuesday, January 7th.
Okay.
What time on the second?
7th.
On the 7th?
Yeah, you're not.
I'm not right. I'm
Yeah.
just.
I just want to know
Oh,
when the office closes on the phone. All right, anything else before we wrap up? Then without objection, we are adjourned. Okay, stick around for your survey packet.
yeah, I'm gonna go do that right now.
And then
You would be interested in signing.
I would, yeah.
But I don't want to stick around.
Sign Philadelphia. So
Well,
I just want it.
Keep in mind,
I'm still. So.
thank you very much.
What time you got started?